Many years ago, in the capital city of Ikeja, lived a young lady named Agozie, whose heart burned for the things of God. She came to the city a couple of years ago in search of greener pastures and had had to stay with her elder brother ever since then. Agozie was raised up in the way of the Lord and spent most of her childhood working in the church. As such, when she moved to the city, she immediately located a Bible believing church and joined in. It did not take long before she became popular because of her dedication and fervor for God. She became a strong member of the choir, and you could always see her leading praise or worship every Sunday. Her elder brother soon helped her to secure a receptionist job in a firm, and for the moment, it seemed everything was going on well in Agozie's life until she started to attract suitors. Agozie was a beauty to behold, in and out, and this beauty drew lots of men to her. Her inner beauty also had an advantage because she would naturally attract favor from people, from getting free rides to work, to getting free lunch, to getting cash gifts from both acquaintances and strangers. It was obvious that Agozie was favored. It was on one of such favored days that she met Izu, a young, handsome man who came to the firm where she worked to see the manager. Agozie attended to him politely, and just before he left, he gave her a little gift for being kind and professional. However, the next day, he came by again, but this time around, not to see anyone but Agozie. Miss Agozie, good day. How are you today? Izu asked with a smile. Agozie was surprised to see him, but returned the smile. Good day, sir. I am very fine. Would you like to see the manager? Izu shook his head. No, I came to see you today. It's just a casual visit. I couldn't get over my encounter with you yesterday, and I decided to come satisfy my curiosity, if you don't mind. Agozie smiled approvingly, and then Izu went on to ask her some things about herself. By the end of their discussion, they already had a silent connection. Izu was a junior pastor in a church, and so their spirits seemed to align in addition to their values too. Izu extended a hand of friendship to Agozie, and she accepted, convinced that it was an innocent gesture. From that day on, Izu would call her for long hours and also show up at her workplace with a surprise lunch. The friendship was a sweet one, with each of them respecting their boundaries and values. While this was going on, Agozie still continued with her service at church, and it was there that she met another young man named Ugonna. Every Sunday after service, the moment Agozie stepped foot out of the church building, Ugonna would come up to her to compliment her for one thing or the other. Agozie felt it was just a harmless gesture, and so she didn't read much into it until when he started to appear with gifts too. At this time, Agozie began to suspect that he wanted more, but much to her surprise, Ugonna never said a word to her until months later when Ugonna asked to take her out for lunch that Sunday afternoon. Agozie agreed and went out with him. As they were eating, Ugonna paused and looked at her for a brief moment before clearing his throat. Agozie, I know you might be wondering why I brought you out here. Well, I believe it is time I open my heart to you. I have known you for a while now, and I don't need anyone to tell me that you are an angel. But what I didn't know was that you would be the angel meant for me. Agozie's eyes narrowed in confusion. What do you mean? Ugonna then continued. I have been praying seriously to God for some months now, for Him to lead me to my life partner, the right woman for me, the bone of my bone and the flesh of my flesh. And each time I get a revelation, I see you standing in white, smiling at me and beckoning to me to come to you. At first, I wasn't sure and I didn't want to mix things up. But then, for the past few weeks, whenever I sleep, I am always seeing you singing melodiously. And then, when I come to join you in singing, the heavens open beautifully, a sign that this union will be perfect. Agozie, I don't want to delay further. You are the one God has chosen for me. I want you to be my wife. Agozie's eyes widened in shock as she swallowed hard. Um, Brother Ugonna, thank you for telling me this, but I'll have to pray about it and then give you a reply. As Agozie got back home that evening, she slumped into her bed. She was in deep confusion. Just yesterday, Izu had asked her to marry him and she told him that she would pray about it. And now, out of the blues, Ugonna is asking for the same thing. This is going to be really hard. Izu is a good man. He is a young pastor with good values and a bright future too. Ugonna is also a good man, even though he doesn't have good physical looks. But then, the heart is what really matters, right? He has been a serious Christian and dedicated worker in the church since she could remember, and from their little encounters, Ugonna seemed to be a gentleman. Oh God, I am confused. What should I do? I don't want to make a life mistake. Please direct me, lead me well. Let me choose the right person. Please, God, reveal to me. Open my eyes that I may see your will for me. Agozie prayed and prayed that day, but then, even after praying, she knew she still needed guidance in making the right choice. So, she decided to tell her pastor and also her elder brother. They were the bigger authorities in her life, and so she trusted their counsel. She took the full names and pictures of Izu and Ugonna to their church pastor and explained her confusion to him. The pastor assured her that he would pray over the names and get back to her on what God reveals. Agozie was a bit relieved by the response, and while she was waiting, she informed her elder brother about her two suitors. Eugene, her elder brother, was pleased with the news. Agozie, you are now a big girl, to the extent of having two serious suitors. Anyway, it is a good thing. But then, it is a very delicate situation. Marriage is a lifetime venture and one that is capable of destroying or building someone. How happy the person who gets it right with marriage. But sadly, only few get it right. I understand that the two men are serious church boys, but you must know that there are wolves among sheep. Jesus Christ said it himself. And the difficult thing is that it is even hard to detect the wolves when they are mixed among the sheep. That is why I am not usually moved when someone tells me I met my fiancé in the church or crusade. The devil deploys his agents everywhere, especially to the church. So this is what will happen. While we pray, we also need to use our God-given sense. I want to see the two men first. From there, we will know what to do. Agozie nodded and thanked her brother for his support. She informed Izu and Ugonna about her brother's intention to see them, and the two men chose different dates to visit. However, before they visited, the church pastor called for Agozie to give her a response. Sister Agozie, you are blessed. I have sought the face of God. The two men are favored before God. However, you must know that even before God, there are levels and hierarchy. Izu is a pastor, good, but we can't vouch for him. He doesn't belong to our church, so we can only say things about him on the surface. And remember what the Bible says about charm being deceptive. On the physical, he should seem like the first choice, but it is not so. Brother Ugonna we know and we can vouch for. We have watched him for years and he has been a true soldier of Christ. So, Sister Agozie, in this situation, Brother Ugonna sits higher in the hierarchy. This is what God says. Agozie's heart was pounding nervously at this point in her chest. So Ugonna is God's choice for her. Thank you so much, Pastor. I really appreciate your guidance. However, Agozie kept this in her heart and did not tell anyone. The day came when Izu was to visit her elder brother Eugene, and much to Agozie's shock, the two men flowed naturally as if they had known themselves for ages. Eugene threw some questions at Izu, who answered them smoothly, and it didn't take long before they were laughing and talking like buddies. By the time Izu left, Eugene told Agozie that Izu had a good soul. You know I have a very good discerning spirit. This one is a special gift the Holy Spirit gave to me. I can assure you that Izu will make a good husband for you. But then, I will not conclude yet until I see the second man. Agozie nodded slowly as the pastor's words came ringing in her head. Charm is deceptive. Could this be true? Is it really possible that her brother had been carried away by Izu's looks and personality? No doubt, Izu is a very fine man, but then that is not what matters. Anyway, she would wait until Ugonna comes before she says anything. A few days later, Ugonna came visiting, and when Eugene saw him, he treated him warmly, the same way he treated Izu. But then, the reaction was not the same. Ugonna was a naturally gentle man who did not speak much. As such, it would take a longer time to be able to read through him because it would be unfair to judge him with his looks that were on the opposite side of fine or his calm demeanor. But this was not the situation with Eugene. Eugene's discerning spirit set him apart and made him a very sharp and sensitive Christian. As such, he could already read through Ugonna. So, when Ugonna left, he called Agozie. Agozie, is this the man you said attends your church? My spirit senses something strange in him. He is not who he seems to be, and I am afraid if you end up with him, you might regret it. Agozie was shocked. Brother, why would you say something like that? Is it because he is not as outspoken or good-looking as you had expected? Eugene waved his hands. Come off that, Agozie. You know I am not superficial. Even if I want to be, my spirit won't let me. That man's spirit is not in any way related to the true spirit. I could feel a strange cloud around him. But then, how would you know for sure when he is among the brethren? I don't want you to gamble into this. So, I will advise you to delete him out of your options. If you don't have any other suitor, then that other pastor guy is a good choice for you. Agozie looked at her brother unbelievably. Her brother was one of the leading members at a Bible-believing church, but definitely he was not a pastor. So how would he know better than her own pastor, who has been a shepherd for long? Brother, I have prayed about this, and I also sought my pastor's counsel. From what was revealed to us, Ugonna is the one God has kept for me. He is my husband. Eugene stood up immediately in anger. Agozie, anyway, it will take some time for you to understand it, but don't be carried away. Ugonna is not what he seems to be, he warned. Agozie watched him walk out, but she didn't bother thinking about anything. God has spoken to her. Ugonna is the one for me. Charm is deceptive. I will never allow myself to be carried away by Izu's charm. Never. As such, Agozie went behind her brother and gave Ugonna her response to marry him. She also told Izu that she wouldn't marry him because she already had a fiancé. Izu was shattered. He cried and begged for Agozie to have a rethink. He promised to never disappoint her and to be a good husband to her. But Agozie's mind was made up. She would marry Ugonna and nobody would stop her. When Eugene heard that Agozie was still hell-bent on marrying Ugonna, he flew into a rage. He would never allow his only sister to make a life mistake. He won't let her fall into the trap. Agozie, it is better you don't get married at all. If Ugonna is the only person you know, I have told you to leave that man alone. He is not your husband. And mind you, if you insist on marrying him, then you cease to be my sister. I will no longer have anything to do with you. Don't say I didn't warn you. Agozie was terrified. She had never seen her brother behave this way before. But Why was he hell-bent on making her go against God's will? God couldn't have lied to her and the pastor. She was really worried and scared. But she comforted herself that it was better to disobey man than to disobey God. She would marry Ugonna and prove her brother wrong. He would then realize that his spirits could mislead him too sometimes. Agozie told Ugonna about her brother's refusal to support their union, and he too was also worried. But she assured him that she wouldn't back off. Since this is the will of God for us, I will fight for this. I know there would be challenges, but I didn't know it would be from my own brother. I just need you to stand with me, and we'll be all right. We should also tell the pastor so he can guide us well. Ugonna nodded his head, and they then went together to see the pastor. After listening to their challenge, the pastor reassured them and prayed for them, pledging to support them at any time. With this confidence, Agozie became more bold and determined. She told Ugonna to hurry up with the marriage plans, and when he was ready, she took him to her village to meet her uncles for the traditional rites. Since Eugene, her elder brother, had sworn that he would not support her, she would bypass him then. After the bride price payments, Agozie returned to the city with Ugonna, but she couldn't go back to her brother's house again. She decided to stay with one of their church sisters, pending when their union would be blessed in the church. Ugonna didn't waste time and made the necessary preparation for the holy matrimony. On that day, the whole church was filled to its brim, as everyone wanted to grace the wedding of the beautiful sister Agozie. They received a lot of gifts, and just before the ceremony ended, Agozie sighted Izu coming up to her. She was shocked to see him, but before she could say anything, Izu smiled and handed her a wrapped gift. Agozie, I can see that you are truly happy. Congratulations to you, and I wish you a blissful marriage. Please accept this gift from me for friendship's sake. Agozie smiled and accepted it. Thank you, Izu. I really appreciate this. She handed it to her maid of honor and told her to keep it apart. Throughout the wedding ceremony, Agozie kept on looking around, searching for any sign of her elder brother Eugene, but she didn't see him. He had kept true to his promise of cutting ties with her if she insisted on marrying Ugonna. Anyway, since he had moved on, she too would try to move on no matter how hard it was. Just before they left the venue, Agozie opened the gifts Izu had given to her, and she was surprised to see a Bible and some money in there. Her heart jumped up as she held the gifts. Izu was truly a good man, but definitely not the will of God for her. She just prayed that God would give him his own wife. After the wedding, Agozie moved in with Ugonna, who lived not too far from the church, and the first month of the marriage was like heaven on earth. Ugonna was a man of few words, but his actions covered up for him in that aspect. He worked as a painter, and whenever he got a contract, he would divide the money into two and give one half to Agozie. He never returned home without buying something for her, whether big or small, and he provided all her needs before she even asked. Agozie was pampered as a wife, and she was glad that she didn't reject Ugonna. Once in a while, she would wish that her brother would have a rethink and come see how good of a husband Ugonna was. Agozie continued to enjoy her marriage until one day when Ugonna returned home with unexpected news. Agozie, we are moving out of this house. My business has been slow of late, and I can't keep up with the rent again. We'll move to a more affordable place. Agozie was shocked by the news. Honey, what exactly is the problem? Is there any way I can help? But Ugonna waved her off. The only solution is to move out. Once we move out, everything will be fine. So just start gathering our things together. We'll be moving anytime from now. Agozie sighed sadly. Okay, but can I know where we are moving to? I'm just asking because of my job. so I can know if it is close to my workplace. Ugonna stood up to leave, but before he left, he muttered, "We are moving to Ota. I have already rented a place for us there." Before Agozie could process the whole information, Ugonna had already walked out. Wait, I heard Ota now, or is my ear paining me? No, Ota. How can? He already rented a place without letting me know first. What will happen to my work? The church, the community we already have here. Really? Is this happening? God, what does this mean? Is this a good thing? Okay, I trust you. I believe you are leading Ugonna in whatever he's doing. It did not take up to 2 weeks before Ugonna brought a truck and moved all their things to the new place. The previous Sunday, they had already informed the church about their move, and they prayed for them and wished them well. They arrived at the house, and Agozie was even more than disappointed to see the new place. The house was a one-room apartment and very small compared to where they were staying before. But Agozie did not complain. She just calmly joined in arranging the properties, silently praying that God delivers him from whatever it was he was going through, because it was obvious that he was definitely going through something, but was just pretending to be a strong man. Days after they settled in, Ugonna resumed work. He would leave home in the morning and take several buses back to the place where they had just moved from, because that was where he was known for his skill. Before leaving, he would drop off some money that was just enough for Agozie to feed with that day. Gradually, the gifts and surprise money stopped, and Agozie found herself struggling to manage with what Ugonna gave to her. Since they moved to Ota, she had not been able to get another job. And in fact, she was not even looking for a job for now, as her focus was on getting pregnant. Whenever Ugonna goes out for work, Agozie would hurry up with the house chores and then go out to get some foodstuffs with the little money he dropped for her. There was an elderly woman who ran a foodstuff shop, and that was where Agozie usually patronized. However, even after getting what she wanted, she would stay back at the woman's shop because she would be bored if she returned home too soon. This woman's name was Mamachi, and she soon became like a mother to Agozie and the backbone she never knew she would need in her marriage. At this time, Ugonna and Agozie were still regular members of their church, and every Sunday they would spend a lot on commercial buses just to get to the church. It wasn't an issue because Agozie was very lucky, as 1 or 2 members would give her cash gifts whenever they came, so that was more than enough to cover for their tea fare. It didn't take long before Agozie discovered that she was pregnant, and it was like a dream come true. When she informed Ugonna about it, he too was pleased with the news, but then it seemed as though he had been battling with himself to keep up the good husband charade, and at the moment he had gotten to his limits because the way Ugonna changed overnight, one would think that he was jazzed. A few weeks after Agozie found out that she was pregnant, Ugonna stopped going to work regularly, and as such, he stopped giving her money for feeding. Agozie couldn't keep silent anymore, and so she asked him about it. "Honey, you haven't been going to work lately. Is everything okay?" Ugonna looked at her sharply and muttered under his breath, "Work is bad. I have not been getting contracts like before." Agozie sighed sadly. "I am so sorry about that. God will open doors for you." She then paused for a moment before speaking again. "Honey, there is no foodstuffs in the house. I was thinking if you could give me some money to get some things for us to eat." Ugonna turned and looked at her ridiculously and then said, "Is there no Gary in the house? Take some and drink. There is no money. You should learn to manage now." Agozie was shocked. "I should drink Gary, but I am pregnant. It is not healthy. Besides, there is no sugar or milk to add to it. How do I drink it?" She was still complaining when Ugonna left her and went to lay down on the bed unbothered. Agozie just sat there looking at him in disbelief. How will a man even be thinking of sleeping when his house is on fire? If his painting job is not doing well at the moment, why can't he look for something else to do? God, what is the meaning of this? Will I die of hunger like this? No, I need to look for something to do, no matter how little, Agozie thought to herself. She quietly went to take some garri and added salt into it. After drinking it, she left the house and went to Mama Chi's shop. The moment Mama Chi saw her, she knew that something was wrong with her. Agozie, what is the matter? Did you quarrel with anybody? Agozie tried to hold back and keep her marriage a secret, but then she couldn't. She didn't even know when she broke down. I am just tired. I don't want to start complaining because it is too early, but this was not what I bargained for at all. Can you imagine that my husband cannot provide food for his pregnant wife? He only goes out to work once in a week and then spends the remaining days sleeping unbothered. I had a good job before he asked us to leave that city and move to this place. Now, I have no job, no business, and no money. He's just treating me as if he doesn't care. Can you believe that it is only garri that I have taken today? Not garri and soup. Drinking garri, it is not fair, Agozie lamented. Mama Chi listened patiently and then she went to get some food for Agozie. Take, I made it this morning before coming to the shop. I still have enough for me and my children. But Agozie, you are still new to marriage, so you need to follow everything through with wisdom and patience. This thing wouldn't have been a big issue if you had a job. With your own money, you can look after yourself and not be at the mercy of any man. He might be doing this on purpose because he knows you have nothing. Or better still, maybe he's not even doing it on purpose. But whichever is the case, you need to start up something, no matter how little. It is just that you are currently pregnant and most companies or even schools would not employ you in this condition. You can't even start a business because you don't have capital. So for now, just concentrate on having this child. Then after that, you'll definitely get something to do. Have you started getting your baby essentials? Mama Chi asked, but Agozie looked lost. Wait to Agozie, have you even started antenatal? Agozie shook her head. No, I'm still trying to get money for it. Mama Chi was shocked. You must be joking. Do you want to endanger yourself and your baby? Don't you know you should have started antenatal? If you can't afford private hospitals, then go to the government ones. They are free. Please, tomorrow, get ready and go to the hospital. You need to be sure that your baby is in good condition, Mama Chi advised. Agozie nodded, and after spending some time there, she returned home. When she returned, she met Ugonna still sleeping, and it was the noise she made that woke him up. Agozie, take this money, go and make soup so we can eat tonight. Mind you, that soup will be for 1 week, so manage the money well. Agozie collected the money from him and was dumbfounded when she counted it, and it was 475 naira. She opened her mouth to talk, to protest, to say something, but words failed her. After standing for some minutes looking at him sadly, she turned around and left the house before the hot tears that was welling up in her eyes would drop. She went back to Mama Chi's shop and showed her the money, telling her that this was what her husband gave her to cook with. Mama Chi calmed her down and told her to see what she could do with it. Agozie ended up getting crayfish, palm oil, green vegetables, and a lot of soup thickener. She would cook watery soup and then use the thickener to make it thick. As she cooked the soup, her heart broke. Never would she have thought that this was what her life would be reduced to. Even when she was still living with her brother, she had never had to eat this. Thinking of my brother Eugene, who knows how he would be by now? Better than me, obviously. I can't even let him know what I am passing through now. He would jeer at me and then abandon me to my fate. But I didn't do anything wrong, did I? I only followed God's will for me. Or did I make a mistake? Did I mistake God's will for me? No, now. It is too early, please. It's not even up to 6 months since I got married. I believe this is just normal early marriage crisis. Ugonna is a good man. He wouldn't treat me badly. I should just be patient with him and also pray for him more. Agozie thought to herself, and with that, her spirit became refreshed and she started to sing joyfully while cooking the soup. It was already evening when she finished cooking, so she made eba and dished out the soup. But another heartbreaking shock awaited her. When she brought out the food, Ugonna told her to get another plate for him, and when she brought it, he divided the soup into two. Agozie was confused as to why he did that because they usually ate in the same plate. But then she was shocked when Ugonna brought out a wrapped nylon and poured out its contents into his own portion of soup. Lo and behold, it was a very large quantity of suya. Agozie's eyes widened in shock. Honey, is this suya? Like real meat? I thought you said you didn't have money. But you would have given me this money to buy meat for the soup instead of spending this much on suya. Ugonna pretended to not hear her and just started eating his food while enjoying his suya. Agozie tried to take some suya for herself, but Ugonna slapped off her hands and warned her, "What nonsense is that? So you don't have respect again. Don't try this ever again in your life." Agozie recoiled in fear. She couldn't believe what just happened. She didn't even want to think about it. But as she sat in silence, eating her watery soup and watching her husband eating his different soup, the only thing that rang in her head was wicked. The wicked heart of man. How would a man reduce his wife, his pregnant wife, to this? No, Ugonna is not wicked. This is not who he is. Something is definitely wrong. The devil is at work here, but I will not let him win, Agozie thought to herself. The next morning, before Agozie woke up, Ugonna was already up and ready to leave the house. Agozie sat up on the bed and was surprised to see him all dressed. "Honey, good morning. Are you going out today?" Ugonna ignored her questions and instead gave her some money. "Take this. Use it to feed today. Don't worry about me." Agozie collected the money, but her hands froze in the air when she counted it and realized that it was just 250 naira. "But, honey, thank you. But I would like to start antenatal. You know the pregnancy is already past 3 months and it is my first time. I need medical care." Ugonna looked impatient at this time and he just muttered, "I don't have money for that now." He then went out, leaving Agozie still staring in shock. She got a grip on herself and prepared to go out. She went to Mama Chi's shop as usual and narrated all that happened the previous night and that morning to Mama Chi, who was shocked and found it unbelievable. This is strange, oh, but come to think of it, did you and this man court at all? Like, did you not see the signs before you married him? Because I'm sorry to say, but these are traces of wickedness, oh. Agozie sighed sadly. He was not like this. I met him in the church, but we didn't really court for long. But I knew him to be a good Christian. Plus, I got the confirmation from God that he is my real husband. Mama Chi scoffed. Church, Christian. Is that what they used to deceive you people? So you think because you met a man in the church, that automatically makes him a good person? Don't you know that character is different? A person can be good and kind and not even be a Christian, while a so-called strong Christian can be as wicked as the devil. It all boils down to personality and upbringing, and most times, if the person is naturally wicked, like if the wickedness reaches the person's blood, That one is one chance, so it will only take God Himself to flush out that person's blood. I just hope you haven't fallen into a deadly trap. Let's just pray that maybe he's facing some financial challenge and would soon come around. Agozie nodded slowly and hopefully. Yes, I am praying. He wasn't like this. And do you know the worst part? He doesn't talk, oh. We might be in this house for the whole day and we won't even talk for up to 30 minutes. He's so gentle. He doesn't seem like someone who could do such a thing. I just hope that this phase passes soon. Facing this in my pregnant state is so heartbreaking. I just feel alone. Mama Chi looked at her pitifully. It is well, my dear. What about your family? Have you told them about what you are currently facing? Maybe they could help. Agozie looked away sadly. I only have my elder brother and he has disowned me. He never wanted me to marry Ugonna, so I can't even go to him now. Mama Chi was confused at this point. But you just said that you got several confirmation that Ugonna was your real husband. How come your brother was not in support? Agozie then had to explain in details all that transpired between Eugene, Izu, Ugonna, the pastor, and her at that time. It was then that Mama Chi fully understood what happened. This one is strong, oh. You lost your only family because of a man that has not even proven himself to you, just because of the words of your pastor. You know, sometimes we humans can be sentimental and also make mistakes. Did you even stop to think then that maybe Ugonna was the choice because he attended your church? Because from this your story, it was Izu that you actually knew very well. You have been friends with him for a longer time and your brother even approved of him, which was supposed to be a plus. But rather, you went with your pastor's words and probably a Bible verse that was wrongly interpreted by you both to fit in your purpose. No, this is not good. From every indication, Ugonna might be more than what you see. You are still fresh in marriage and you have started seeing this. What will happen when you have children? When you stay for years? What if he refuses you from ever working just so he could suppress you more? Because I see no reason why he should relocate you people from where you had a good life and a supportive community who could help you to this secluded area where you don't even know anyone. Okay, that is enough. Let's not cook up more problems with our imagination. Just go to the government hospital. I will give you some money for transport. Go and make sure that your baby is fine. Agozie thanked Mama Chi and then left for the hospital. But as she walked down to the bus stop, she couldn't help but think about everything they had discussed. What if Ugonna is really not the man she thought he was? What if she had made a grave mistake? What if... She quickly shook off the thoughts from her head and focused on her trip to the hospital. Thankfully, everything was fine with her and she was just given routine drugs to aid her. She returned home and managed with what she could afford. There was rice at home, so she used the 250 naira to get little veggies and crayfish. Deep down, Agozie was craving bananas and chilled yogurt. But at this point, she needed no one to tell her to push the cravings behind. Crayfish was now her favorite and easy source of protein. Later that night, Ugonna returned home from wherever he went to, and immediately he sat down, he brought out a big plate of catfish pepper soup and started to devour. The aroma of the pepper soup was so tempting that Agozie almost begged Ugonna for some. It was the mean expression on his face that held her back. She just silently went back to bed and forced herself to sleep. Unfortunately for Agozie, this was just the beginning of her marital reality. Every day, Ugonna would show her one shege or the other, not feeling any remorse at all. She struggled to put up with it all through the pregnancy, but towards the end of the pregnancy, she still had not gotten anything for the baby or for her maternity care. She was at a loss for what to do, and so she decided to do anything, no matter how desperate. That morning, as Ugonna prepared to go out again, after dropping 200 naira for her, she fell to her knees and begged, "Honey, please, my due date is getting closer. I don't have anything in preparation for it. Please, I need to buy some things. Give me some money." But Ugonna ignored her and wanted to leave when she suddenly shouted, "If you don't give me money, I will have to go to the church and beg from the members, from the pastor, anybody. I can't keep on dying in silence." Ugonna seemed to pause in his tracks for a second before stepping out. Agozie fell to the floor and cried bitterly. She had been enduring it all in silence, praying that it comes to an end one day. But it seemed that the more she covered it up, the worse it became. At this point, she didn't care about anything again. She would look for a way to borrow money to transport herself to the church on Sunday and seek help there. Surely, someone would take pity on her. But Agozie didn't need to go that far because that same afternoon, Ugonna returned with a very big bag. Agozie was surprised to see him back home early, but she was even more surprised to see that he came with a lot of baby essentials. Before she could say anything, he explained to her, "See, Agozie, I know I have not been in my best of behavior of late, but that's because I have been passing through some things. Don't take my actions to heart. I just need to take care of some stuffs, and very soon, all will be well again." Agozie was dumbfounded. She just nodded her head as she went through the many baby things he came home with. In addition to that, he also gave her some money to use to get whatever she needed. And Agozie's heart melted. She thanked him and prayed in her heart that this good thing that had started in her marriage will continue forever. Weeks later, Agozie went into labor. Ugonna had gone out very early that day, and so she was alone at that time. She had to call Mama Chi, who came with her husband and took her to the government hospital. Mama Chi called Ugonna to inform him that his wife was about to give birth, and he told her that he would soon be there. Hours later, Agozie gave birth to a healthy baby boy, but Ugonna was still yet to arrive. It was Mama Chi who went home and prepared a proper meal for Agozie, who was very hungry. It was later that night that Ugonna arrived at the hospital to see his wife and son, and he gave the excuse of being caught up in work and traffic. He thanked Mama Chi for assisting his wife and then went to the reception to sort the bills. As Ugonna left, Mama Chi could not help but look at him disgustedly. What did Agozie even see in this man? He's not even fine in the face. Neither is he fine at heart. What exactly did she see that convinced her to get married to this kind of man? Now, wow. Days later, Agozie was discharged and Ugonna got a cab to take them home. With the way Ugonna behaved at the hospital, Agozie felt that he had truly changed and looked forward to a happy home with their newborn son. But much to her disappointment, the moment they arrived home and were alone, Ugonna returned to the same old person he was. He showed no care for his wife or the new baby. He refused to assist Agozie, and neither did he give her money to feed well as a breastfeeding mother. It was the money he had given her before she gave birth that she fell back to at this time. And then one day, when the baby was just 2 months old, he fell terribly sick, up to the point that he was admitted at the hospital. Agozie rushed him to the government hospital, where he was attended to. After the treatment, they were held back because Agozie could not afford the hospital bills. She called Ugonna, but he ignored her calls and was nowhere to be found. Out of shame, Agozie had to call the pastor's wife and pleaded for help with the bill. The pastor's wife gave her the money, but then she was worried about Agozie. "Sister Agozie, what really is the matter? Since you and brother Ugonna got married and moved far away, we hardly see you here in church. Look for a way to see me. I want to see you and your husband. I will inform pastor about it. We need to see you too." Agozie swallowed hard and agreed, but she knew that this was going to be trouble for her. This was why she had avoided calling anyone from the church for help, so that it doesn't look as though she intentionally reported Ugonna. But now that the pastor's wife knows, how would she explain to Ugonna? Will he even agree to go with her? Do you think Ugonna will take it easy on Agozie for seeking help from the pastor's wife? Will he agree to go with her? What will Agozie's fate be? We'll find out in part 2. Thank you for watching this story. Kindly share your thoughts about the story in the comment section and share with us what lesson you've picked so far. Share the story out with your loved ones also and give the story a thumbs up until I bring the next part your way. Bye!